here. Okay, so we are on Mishlei 15:32. This is the second to the last pasuk in our parak. Porea Mussar moes nafsho v'shomea tochachas koneh lev. Yeah, Isaac?
One who nice.
Yeah. What would you guess? I mean, just based on Mishlei, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I want to say like cast off, but I feel like that's not the most precise.
Okay, that's actually that's not bad. Anyone else want to guess what porea means?
Is it related to like the word grow out?
Okay, so it is related to that. Yeah, you're getting that from Velus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I know Porechov means to like pay back the debt, but
right. So the thing is, I don't know whether that is that feels to me like a rabbinic usage of Hebrew. So I'm not exactly sure if that's Okay, so I would have said, and maybe this is just in my mind from like seeing a translation at some point, one who rejects. Okay, but we'll add a couple more translations here. But go ahead. How do you translate the rest of it?
Mussar.
Yeah, how do you translate Mussar?
Rebuke.
Okay, so you say rebuke. That's not my go-to translation, but yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. And I do think it probably is more mashma here. Yeah.
Makes his soul disgusting.
So I don't know. So mem aleph samech does mean contemptible, but mo'es as a verb, it's a verb here. It's not an adjective.
Yeah. Well, I would say disgusts his soul, but I think it's giving the quality of mios to the nefesh. That's how.
Okay, so I think it's actually not doing that. We'll see if anyone does say that. But we got Sean. Nice, welcome, Sean. All right. So you're saying makes his soul disgusting? Is that how you said it?
Yeah.
Okay. V'shomea tochachas koneh lev.
Someone who listens to rebuke acquires a heart.
Okay. Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to translate Mussar here as rebuke, because I do want to differentiate Mussar from tochacha. So does that make you change your translation of Mussar?
I'm not
say it that way. You could just say synonyms.
I'm inclined to say it's synonyms.
Okay, fine. Okay, so now let's look at the BDB says, where is it here? The BDB for porea is, says to let go or let alone. Okay, so that is, or let loose is probably the better translation here. Okay, so to answer Ezra's question, that is what it means. That's what it has to do with your hair, because I think we use it for, don't we use it for the sota? Or am I imagining that?
For the Metzora?
Ufaras Rosh Hashanah, yeah, that's for
the sota, yeah, right?
And the Kohen Gadol too.
Okay, right, yeah. I think I can probably find the sota one easier. That is in, what parak is that? Is that in 6 in Bamidbar?
Maybe in Dalit.
Oh, yeah, so you're right. I was thinking about 6 because Gadol Para, that's by the Nazir, right? Yeah, right. And then Rosh Ha'isha, right? Is that in Dalit, you said?
I think so. Maybe in Hay.
Okay, yeah. Hay was my first go-to. Ufora is Rosh Ha'isha, right? So it means to let loose her hair. Okay. And then by the Nazir, it means to let his hair grow loose. Okay. The thing that most people quote here is Shemos 32:25, maybe because he uses it twice. This is at the Cheda Egal. Vayar Moshe es ha'am ki faruahu. Moshe saw the people that they were unrestrained, and then Nitman Novetsky says the word means to let loose, and here the connotation might be that the people had lost all control. Kifra'o Aharon, for Aaron had caused them to lose restraint. Okay, so one who I guess rejects. Well, we'll say one who loosens. Loosens Mussar. Okay, so that's based on that definition. Metzudas Tion though says porea is inyan hashbasa ubitul. So he says it means to stop or nullify, to cease or nullify, right? So one who stops or ceases Mussar. And if you look at the Tергum on the pasuk I just read, Vayar Moshe es ha'am ki faruahu, Onklos says v'chaza Moshe yas ama are batilhu, that it was ceased or not doing anything. Are batelinun Aharon, for Aaron had bottled it. What does that mean? Let me just see how the English translates it. So this is not a good translation. I don't think bottle means loose. I don't know if that's a good English translation. Does Parshegan say anything? Faruhu, Targum Unclus Mavkim Bishloshim Mashmaim Befol Para Mehem Shtaim Leprias Se'ar. So Unclus uses three, I think, I don't know if connotations or denotations to the para. Priya se'ar, so one is loosening the hair, Bahuras stira se'ar, like undoing the hair, Giluyo, and revealing it. Miturgemes before perak, gon verosha yi farua. Okay, fine, and he gives more examples. Prias se'ar b'mashma gidul se'ar, or it can mean to grow out your hair, and then para bahuras hefer, or it means to nullify. So yeah, so nullify, I think, is the one that's being used here. Okay, so one who stops, nullifies, rejects Mussar. Okay, fine. So that's the Metzudas ציון. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll read the Targum, but I don't want to dwell on it. I couldn't figure out what Marish means. So if anyone can get that and thinks that it's important, you can go ahead and chime in. Marish Mardusa. Mardusa is just the translation of Mussar. Masle nafshe. V'dishmiya machsanusa dechaye kane chuchmasa. So that's interesting. So the second half is intriguing to me, which is one who listens to rebuke of life, okay, acquires wisdom. Now, where is he getting rebuke of life from?
Last pasuk.
Yeah, last pasuk, right? Last one, just to remind ourselves, and for anyone who didn't hear the last one, 15. Last one was Ozen Shoma'as Tochachas Chaim. So he's getting it from the last one. So he's explicitly linking the two. Okay. All right, fine. So that is that. Let me just move this here. Okay, and then we've got Art Scroll, who says, he who negates discipline despises his soul. Okay, maybe reject is not a translation, so I'm going to get rid of it here. He who negates discipline despises his soul, but one who listens to reproof acquires, and then Art Scroll always does an understanding heart. Okay, and then Corin, I forgot to bring my altar to connect it. I don't mean Mizbeach. Don't be choshev b'ksherim here. Corin says, he that refuses correction despises his own soul, but he that listens to reproof gets understanding. Okay, fine. And then JPS revised translation, I like, those who spurn discipline hate themselves. Hate themselves is a good idiomatic translation here, Like, why are you hating yourself? That's what you should say to someone who's rejecting Mussar. But those who heed reproof gain understanding. Okay, so I think those are all fine translations, so I'll just keep them up there. Okay, so what are the questions here? And just a reminder to use your hand raise feature because I only have one monitor today. Yeah, Isaac?
This is obvious.
Yeah. Okay, right. This one I would agree is obvious, right? This sounds obvious. Okay. There are lots of psukim that talk about how you harm yourself by rejecting rebuke, and you benefit yourself in wisdom by listening to it. Right? What is the chidush? Yeah. I think this one I would agree. Yeah, David.
I think we just spent a bunch of time on this, but what does Poria mean in this context?
Yeah. What does Poria mean in this context? And I'm going to go ahead and add here. I don't know if this is a good question. Why use such an ambiguous term? Meaning, and just to elaborate on that, is this being used because Shlomo needed a highly specific word, or is the ambiguity deliberate? Okay, which we've seen before. It's a move we've seen before. Okay, yeah, Ezra, Vader.
So why does it say Moes, and how is that the opposite of Koralev?
Okay, right. What does Moes mean in this context? And then why, or I guess, how is this the opposite of Kone Lev? Which we might as well say, what does Kone Lev mean? Specifically, what does Kone mean in this context? And what does Lev mean in this context? Yeah, Eli or whoever's on the yeshiva end. Yeah.
So does he know his own soul is disgusting after rebuke? Meaning, is it that his soul is disgusting to him, or that his soul is disgusting to other people?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to go back and change Isaac's translation. I'm pretty sure Isaac is wrong. Okay, I think it means despises or rejects his soul. Okay, I don't think it means. I don't think you can read moes as to make something disgusting. And if anyone knows grammar better than I do, correct me if I'm wrong, but my intuition is very strong here. So ask your question again if it still applies, Moshe.
I'm gonna have to think about that.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I meant to go back and change that. But we can still ask. What? Yeah, I guess I'm gonna just add here. What does moist nafsho mean? How's it the opposite? And then also let's just say, what does nefesh mean in this context? And nefesh, let's just what are the possible translations of nefesh? Because I think we can do exhaustive. You could just say it. You don't have to raise your hand.
Soul. Body.
Okay. Well, so the literal translation is soul, but if it means, if we wanted to say what that meant, what would we say?
Himself.
Okay, one is himself. Another, I think there's at least three.
Body, like his body.
Yeah, his body slash like body, like instinctual nature, or the most obvious one,
Brain.
Well, I wouldn't say brain. I'd say his Tselem Elohim, right? Yeah, right. To quote my favorite Mortimer Adler statement about the relationship between the soul and the brain is, or the mind and the brain is, we don't think with our brain, but we can't think without it. Meaning that the soul is the thing that is actually doing the thinking. The brain is the organ through which the soul operates. Whatever that means, I don't know, but yeah. I think those are the only possibilities for nafsho. Okay, Sean. Unless Sean is frozen, I can't tell. He looks a little frozen. All right, so we'll go to Ezra.
Are tochacha and Mussar the same here?
Right. Okay, so let's say here, what are the definitions of Mussar and tochacha? Are they synonyms? Synonyms? Are they synonyms? Or right? Fine. Okay. Moshe, couple.
From whom is the Mussar coming?
Yeah, good question there also. From whom is the Mussar? I was going to say, let's use a fancier word. Whence is the Mussar? Right? Is it? I guess, is this even being given by a person, or is this, Mussar in general? I also wanted to say here. So my favorite default translation of Mussar is discipline. Okay, and the reason why I like discipline is because clearly in Mishlei it's being used as an area of study or a type of excellence. So, for example, lada'as chachma mussar. It does not mean to know wisdom and rebuke. It means to know wisdom and discipline. But then it could also mean rebuke, and you could also use it as a verb in English to discipline someone or give someone discipline. Yeah, Sean, unfrozen, Sean.
The question that I had was, how does being Porei Mussar result in being Moes Nafsha?
Right. Okay, good. Let's put this over here. How does the decision of Porei Mussar result in or equal Moes Nafsho? Yeah, Yeshiva. Yeah, Moshe.
So I was actually going to say, is it like what's the cause and effect in the first half? Is it what Sean said, or is it that the Moes Nafsho is describing a state such that it results in a Porei?
That's actually a better question. So, what is the relationship between Porei Mussar and Moes Nafsho? Okay, so does it mean that that if a person is Porei Mussar, then he is Moes Nafsho? Or does it mean that the one who is Moes Nafsho is Porei Mussar? And then we can ask Sean's question, which is, if the former, how does the decision of Porei Mussar result in or equal to Moes Nafsho? And if the latter, I guess, how does Porei Mussar stem from Moes Nafsho? Yeah, okay, good. All right. Are we missing any definition questions? Yeah, David?
What's the scenario here?
Yeah, what is the decision-making scenario if there is one? What, if anything, is the decision-making scenario here? Yeah, Ezra, I saw your party sign that you wanted to add something.
Yeah, on Sean's question, you can do the same thing for the second half.
Yes, correct.
Between
Yeah.
Tochacha
I'm gonna go ahead and just say ditto for the second half. Just so I don't have to type it. Okay. Yeah, David.
Within the first half, is this person actively like turning away from the Mussar, or it's just that he hasn't like he's let it overgrown in a way that he's like left it untouched and now it's like dwindled away?
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this here in part of question 3. How, I guess, active or versus passive, and how conscious or unconscious is this porea? Yeah. I also want to ask, what does shomea mean? That is going to be in the second half here, right? So what does shomea mean? We've said that it does mean to listen to understand, or to heed. And I think those are very different. I would suspect those are very different here. Meaning, what do you have to do to be konei lev? Is it enough to listen? Do you have to understand it, listen and understand, or listen, understand, and heed? Yeah, Isaac?
So this is maybe a minor question, but is this related to the previous pasuk, and how?
Okay, yeah, I think we do need to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's making me think that is last one was ozen shoma tochachos chaim, and this is shomea tochachos.
Right, correct. Yeah. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just bypass the is this. I'm going to say, how is it related to the previous pasuk? Because I think it's obvious that it is. Yeah. I mean, of course, we could come up with an idea on its own, I'm sure. But okay, did we miss anything? Purim Musar Mois Nafsho Shemiyat Tochachas Konei Lev. I think we got it. Okay, ideas? Yeah, Isaac.
So this is just a partial approach for the first half.
Yeah.
So I'm going with poria as actually I'll say nullifies.
Okay.
And I think it's talking about rationalizing the Mussar not applying to you.
Okay.
So I think, I think it's like oh, it's obvious that if you from other Mishlei that if you just are rejecting rebuke, then obviously that's going to be bad for you.
Right.
But I think this is talking about rationalizing Mussar to not apply to you. And then if you do that, then you're a Mois Nafsho.
Okay. All right. So I think that's a good track. Can you finish the pasuk? Because I have an idea based on what you're saying, but I want to hear what you think about the second half, and also what the Mois Nafsho part is.
Yeah, I don't have specific thoughts. Just the.
Okay. Anyone want to develop that?
Just the foothold.
Okay, then this is good. This is good. I have an approach based on this though.
And I guess I can add to a little bit.
Go ahead.
I mean, you might, because say part of that rationalization is thinking that Mussar is just difficult, or that it's only going to hurt you, meaning that part of why you would want to reject it is because it could be insulting, or it could like feel like it's bad. But the problem is, by doing that, that's what's hurting your soul, or hurting yourself, because it might feel like it's painful, but in the end, it's what's it's helpful.
Okay. Okay, I hear what you're saying. So you're saying that the Mois Nafsho means that it's going to be harmful to you. So it is as if you are, like people say in English, you're shooting yourself in the foot, meaning that you're, yeah. Okay, that's good. That is good, but I think I got something better. Okay, so let me I'm going to say mine, and then you tell me if this is good. So I want to say that konei lev does mean mind, and Nafsho does mean Tselem Elokim. Okay, and I think what it's saying is like this: is there are two benefits to Mussar. I mean, there's probably more, but there's two categorical benefits. One is what Moshe was just talking about, which is that the Mussar actually improves your life, and the not listening to Mussar is a detriment to your life. That is what I think Isaac is correctly pointing out is obvious. Okay. However, there is another benefit, which is that it gives you understanding. Okay, that you gain intellectually, and I think the move here is that when you rationalize by saying that the Mussar is not applicable to you, obviously you are going to be exposing yourself to the trap of getting the consequences of ignoring the Mussar. But the chidush is that you are actually distorting your own mind, because in order to pull that feat of rationalization, you have to close off certain avenues of thinking, and or worse, or like warp the facts or the either the facts or the idea in order to make it not apply to you. So you're actually rejecting or impairing your nefesh, your nefesh hasichlis. And to the contrary, the opposite is also true. When you're shemea tochachas, when you are, I'm going to go ahead and say that this means to heed Mussar, in the sense that you're actually applying it to yourself. You are not only are you going to be improving your life, but you're also gaining understanding from the Mussar. And I think this actually connects to what we were talking about last week, which is that last week, one of the possibilities we were saying for our pasuk was, let me just reread it. We were asking, why is it that the Chachamim like the company of people who are not Chachamim, but they listen to Tochacha? So one of the possibilities we gave is that you could be a Chacham and understand something on an intellectual level, but if you're not forced to apply it to real world circumstances, then you're lacking in the development of the understanding itself. So I think if you are taking an idea of Mussar and not only hearing it, understanding it, but applying it to yourself, you're going to get a lave, you're going to get understanding that is to the highest degree, because in order to implement it, you actually have to like understand it and concretize it. And that's also why in all of my Mishlei classes for high school, I make it a point to have students come up with real world examples, ideally about themselves, because if you're not applying it to yourself, there is always a chance that you're really not fully understanding it. But when you do apply it to yourself, it's like night and day. And I'll give you another example of this for those of you who are in teaching now. I've said this before, but half of my time at Israeli graduate school for Jewish education, the first half of my time there was before I was in the classroom, and the second half was after I started teaching. And it was completely different worlds. It's almost like when I started teaching, it made me realize that all the stuff I was learning abstractly, I could just throw out the window. And like, if it's not grounded in an actual reality of what I'm doing day to day, then like it is, my understanding is lacking. Okay, so let me just capture this in the summary here now that I've talked it out, and then I'll take questions or comments here. So my understanding is like this: is the obvious idea is that we ignore Mussar to our detriment in decision making, and heed it to our benefit. Okay, the chidush is that every time you rationalize Mussar, saying that it doesn't apply to you, you are warping your intellect. Okay, that's the nefesh. Sorry, that's the nefesh. Nefesh. Can't type today. Nefesh hasichlis. Okay, either by denying the facts in yourself, or distorting the idea, or what do you call it? Messing with the stats. Okay. So there's lots of ways to do that. And every time you listen to, understand, and apply the tochacha, you are gaining the full lave, i.e. understanding of the idea, even more than one who just learns it or applies it, just learns it. Okay. So in other words, the subject is the intellectual benefits of Mussar above and beyond the practical. Okay, let's go with Ariel, because I see the party sign here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you're mentioning this, because like today I was listening to a couple chapters of The Psychology of Money, the book over there, and he gives an example where like people don't people don't think that life like the surroundings like affect them in a sense. And the example that they gave was like, oh, like people, there's like a statistic that when you do a project, let's say you renovate a house, or let's say you do everything, whatever it is, like, oh, chances are it probably won't necessarily be finished on the day that you expect it to finish. So you have to leave a margin of error, right, for that possibility. But everyone thinks about themselves, oh no, it's not going to apply to me.
Right.
They totally discount like the statistic that apply. That's an objective stat.
Right. Okay. That's okay. That's a good example. Right. Right. In other words, it's not just and to me this really is a chidush because it's a common idea like everyone thinks that they're the exception, right? And my mind is always drawn to, and therefore the time that you're not the exception, then it's going to come back to bite you. But the example you're giving of actually denying a statistic, like that's a real intellectual distortion there. Yeah, Isaac.
I wonder if you thought of the same thing from Arrested Development.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
I even have the do I have the meme? I'll bring it up tomorrow. I'm not gonna look for it now. But yeah, I of course I thought about that. I'm glad you thought about it also. Yeah, Ariel?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was from before.
Oh, sure. Ezra Koppel, did you have your hand up?
I did, but it went down.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have another interpretation? That's a really good one, Isaac. I would not have thought of that, but I'm glad you gave me the foothold because that I could go. Yeah, David?
I had something that's just not a full idea. Would you rather me wait or say no?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I think that there's something to the Porei Mussar that it seems like it, at least I was reading it as like a passive thing that it starts to slowly disappear. And I think that there's an assumption that if you hear Mussar and like in that very moment, like maybe you accept it to some extent, then like I've got this one down. But I think that there's a reality that if you don't like fully internalize it, it will start to dissipate. And I think the same person who could have been one who was shomea tochacha, or at least accepted tochacha in some way, he could at some point start to lose it and then wind up, I think, like that backfiring and hitting him in a way of he got a little bit of the idea, but then found a way to cover it up in a way that he's going to be more unable to hear the same type of tochacha in the future because he thinks that he got this one down.
Okay, so I think I just missed the first step. How are you translating Porei Mussar?
That was like the passive letting it like grow unkempt in a way.
If you are Porei Mussar, letting your Mussar go unkempt. Okay. And you're saying you're doing that because you're telling yourself I got it down?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That I basically got this. Then it will come back to get you. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
If I could give an example to illustrate maybe. Like someone who gets told like, oh, like you should be more friendly or something like that.
Yeah.
And so then they make the effort to be more friendly like once or twice to someone, like the next random people that they meet. And then after that they go back to their old ways because they hadn't like actually internalized that. And then next time they hear like, oh, it'll be beneficial for you to be more friendly or something like that, they're like, well, I already got that down. Like I'm not going to listen to you or something like that.
Right. So next time around when they hear that they hear this again, they'll convince themselves that they've already done it. Yeah. All right. I do think that's a good half idea. Yeah. I think that could be developed. I had just one more thing I wanted to say here. I'm wondering now, so what I was thinking about in my idea is that you're corrupting your nefesh vis-a-vis that one idea. But now what I'm wondering is, I wonder if Mois Nafsho and Konei Lev are not referring, I mean, clearly they're referring to that instance of Mussar, but maybe it means you're actually stunting your development of your nefesh and versus facilitating your development of the nefesh or of the knowledge. I'm not sure, but I just want to mention it in case as a possibility here, because that might be why it's saying Mois Nafsho. So this is a possibility. Either this is talking about the particular intellectual distortion or gain, or it's talking about the overall intellectual development, or stunting. Yeah. Okay, anyone else have an idea? And if not, we'll go to the Metzudas and get a head start. Yeah, Isaac?
I was gonna say about David's idea that I literally did that yesterday. Someone give me tochacha, and I was like, no, I already do that.
Yeah, that's good. That's
So,
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I really like about David's is, so actually what I like about David's and Isaac's is this does account for why he's using such a weird word, right? This is not the normal, like turning his ear away from tochacha or rejecting tochacha. This is porea, and it's either porea nullifying or porea like letting it go loose. So I think that's both of these bode well just from the words themselves. Okay, let's go to the Metzudas David, which I'm just going to use the YUTorah because it's bigger. Okay, Metzudas David says, Porea, hamavatel esan musar, one who negates musar, the musar, who mois nafsho. He is mois nafsho, ki ma ra'ash eno choshish b'takanasa, because what he has seen, he does not bother to fix. And then kone lev is yikne baze lev chadash umaskil. He acquires through this, through the listening to the tochacha, a new and intelligent heart. Okay, so to me, what translation of Porea? See, it's funny. Porea sounds like he's saying it's being Mavatel because that's what he said in Metzudas ציון, but it kind of has implications of what David said. I think is that it's like he's seeing it and then not bothering to fix it, which is like letting it grow unkempt, So maybe it's a closer meaning than general. So what's the idea here? Or what's the decision even? I mean, we need clarity there. And to me, it's weird. Yikne b'zeh lev chadash umaskil. So I think that's what my intuition was picking up on in my last observation here, is that koni lev could mean gaining understanding, but lev, the fact that it's referring to a part of the self, seems to imply you are like enhancing your lev. So it seems like developmental, and that's why I'm saying like it's like you got a new heart. So what's the idea here? Okay, let's come back to it tomorrow. Okay, and I'm trying to get. I mentioned this last time. It's going to take me a while. Tomorrow, Blineder, I will be there in person. But remember, Thursdays are now only half an hour. It's going to take me a while to find a balance for how to pace the shiur so that we make the most out of the 45 plus 30. So let's not dwell on this now. Let's think about it and then come back. Let's go to Rabbeinu Yonah. Okay, Porea Musar. Kinyan halev hu kinyan hamidos. Okay, it's a classic Ralbag Yonah move. Lev in Ralbag Yonah almost always means midos. So one who acquires the heart means, the acquisition of the heart means the acquisition of midos nichbados v'bechiros nichbados. I think this Savyad is better. Hanichbados hanivcharos. Oh, sorry, v'bechiros v'hanichbados. Okay, whatever. It refers to acquiring good choice, great, noble midos. Hine shemagim lema'ala nasa'a al yedei shmi'as hatochachas. That people will reach an exalted station or level through listening to tochacha. Yeah, Ezra?
He's saying that it's you're going to acquire both good midos and good choices.
Yeah, if you read it the way that it is here, then it's good midos and good choices. Yeah, right. It's just a funny thing. Bechiros is funny to call. I just never seen that bechiros as meaning choices. But yeah, so it's just a weird lashon. Yeah. The emphasis I think is on midos though, because that's what the lev is mashma. Yeah, Ariel?
Yeah, I'm happy he said this because I was kind of thinking along these lines earlier, but I couldn't really prove it. But
yeah.
So maybe you could say that that I think maybe mussar, like it is like a prerequisite of like intelligence, and intelligence can, well, I don't know if it's true, but can be a prerequisite of, or go hand in hand with like midos. So if you
go ahead.
Yeah. So if you kind of like sacrifice your nafsho, by sacrificing your mussar, it's kind of I think it can ruin your your midos in a sense, because you're not recognizing that there's like something. I can't really prove it. I can't really express it very well, but I think it's like Mussar and intelligence and midos are somehow related. I just can't.
Okay, so I mean,
explain it.
you're in very, very good company, because that is one of the ideas emphasized in Mishlei a lot, especially at the beginning, that Mussar, meaning perfection of midos, and Chachma, meaning perfection of intellect, are interrelated, and that Mussar is a prerequisite to Chachma. So there's a lot of meforshim who say that. The only thing I have a slight difficulty with is we don't know what Rabbeinu Yonah means by the first half. He doesn't explain the first half, and most of the time in my memory, when the pasuk says nefesh, Rabbeinu Yonah says it means the nefesh of bahamis. It means your instinctual like part of you. I don't know if it necessarily means that here, but my point in bringing it up is that he does not say anything here about intellect. So he could be saying that, but it's just he doesn't say.
My only question on this is that, like, I happen to know a lot of people who are not necessarily the greatest, in intellect, but like they happen to be good midos, and vice versa. It's like, so I don't know. That's why I'm a little hesitant in saying it, but I don't really know.
Well, no. So okay. So maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. What the meforshim talk about is perfection of Mussar of midos is a prerequisite for perfection of intellect, but not that perfection of Mussar will automatically get you perfection of intellect. So I don't think what you observe is a kushya on that.
Oh, all right, that's good.
Yeah. Now, I'll venture my guess. Again, I don't know what Rabbeinu Yonah means for the first half, because he doesn't say. But I think for the second half, maybe what he means is it's not a chidush to say that if I listen to tochacha, then I'm going to improve in that area of tochacha. But it is a chidush to say that if I listen to one area of tochacha, it improves my midos in a more like it improves all my midos. Okay. And I think if you think about it, then this is true. Like, let's take David's example of you should be more friendly. Okay, right? So think about how many other midos you improve by doing that. So one is you're gonna end up being more like empathetic. Another one is you're gonna be less egotistical, because you're gonna be thinking about other people and not just yourself. The other is you're gonna improve your midah of being bocher shalom, which is another thing that we were talking about in Ralbag on Monday night. Another thing you're going to do is you're going to be pausing to just whatever your agenda is. You're going to be pausing and intervening by the effort to become friendly. Another one is you're going to be overriding your own default mood in order to put on a friendly face. I'm going to talk about this in my Thursday night shiur in Pirkei Avos. So like you're improving lots and lots of midos by focusing on the one tochacha. And even if you're not trying to work on it. So let me just take this down here. So Rabbeinu Yonah says, so the chidush is, if you listen to tochacha in one area, that will result in an improvement in developing many good midos. So can we infer from there, by inference, what is the first half saying? This might be. Yeah, go ahead.
Which failing to listen to tochacha would lead you to not, at the very best, not improve in many areas.
Yeah. So being porea Mussar. So I think there's gonna be two approaches here, depending on whether you're just not heeding the Mussar or negating it. Okay. So I want to say the negating, because that's the pure idea. The pure opposite is rejecting or rationalizing it will drag you down into many more bad midos. Okay, so let's take an example of this. I don't want to use the friendly example. I want to use an example where someone is mochiach you for something, and how that can spread to bad midos. Okay, here's an example. Let's say you have a student who is always disrespectful to the teacher or whatever, right? So someone gives him tochacha and says, like, you should be more respectful to your teachers, and he deliberately ignores that, right? So in order to have that stubborn attachment, see, in other words, like this, he might have had this bad midah as like just the default, But if he's rejecting it, he's digging in his heels, and the digging in of your heels to maintain the status quo, to not heed the Mussar, might entail now let's say now he's going to be deliberately provoking someone else, or he's going to be deliberately breaking identification so that he can feel good about himself for being disrespectful. He might be turning off the part of him that realizes on some level that other people are being harmed by his open disrespect, So it's like he's dragging himself down into other bad midos. It's not just that he's ignoring this one. And this is why sometimes Chazal say, mutav shiyu shogin v'al yihu mizidin, that sometimes it's better for a person to be violating a halacha b'shogeg, because if you actually call them out on it and then they ignore it, it's gonna be even worse for them. Yeah, David?
Yeah, a thought back to the positive.
Yeah.
So as you're just saying different things, if you were to listen to Tochacha in one area, it would help you with so many other areas.
Yeah.
That I think most fundamentally what is happening when you listen to Mussar is accepting that I'm not the knower of all things, and I'm not perfect.
Right.
I think with that, then you'll be open to that in many different areas. And I think one other bonus thing, I don't know if you could put this into Kona Levin Mois now show, but that then also with Neha Shem, you get that one other thing of recognizing that you're not God, and with Neha Shem, there are things that I have to work on.
Right. That's good also. Yeah. I think those are both good benefits here. Okay, so let us read one more thing just to put in our minds, which is the Ralbag. I haven't looked at him yet. I haven't done a survey yet, but just Ralbag is short. So let's look at Ralbag and see what he says. And then we'll stop for today. Porei Mussar mois nafsho. Hine mishu porei Mussar b'midos hu mois nafsho. Ki lo yitachen shi lenefesh shleimus bezulas zeh. Okay, so that's what I was saying from what Ariel said, is that if you despise Mussar in midos, you're despising your soul, which is your intellect. Because it's not possible to have perfection of intellect without this. However, mishu shomea tochachos hu konesh seichel. He's acquiring intelligence. Ki Mussar hu haschala lahasagas hachachma. Okay, so that's talking about so he does not seem to be learning it as rejecting an instance of rebuke. It's rejecting the whole discipline of discipline. Don't think that you can get to intellectual perfection without perfection of midos. That bears discussion about why, but we're done for today, I think. Okay, so Bli Neder, tomorrow we'll be in person and do some more meforshim. Okay, thanks for joining. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.